Overviews. On a country estate close to Leipzig, time is being captured with the help of three-dimensional images. So-called geoinformation systems are being developed, enabling surveyors to measure the entire Earth, piece for piece, on land, in the water, and in the air. Engineering graduate Martin Wagner founded his surveying company, ILV, close to Leipzig in 1990. The initial company members were two friends from his graduation year at university, Andreas Vogt and Beatrix Wagner, who later became his wife. ILV moved to Groich in 1998. Aerial surveying and photography, as well as traditional land and water surveying, are coordinated from their headquarters. Every day, the surveying teams, pilots, and aerial cameramen and women start out from here. Engineers and technicians then calculate the results of the recorded material. The estate, in the village of Kleinwischstauden, was a four-sided courtyard with a residence, barn, and stables. Since the 18th century, the estate has had numerous owners. In 1993, Martin and Beatrix Wagner came to view the rundown estate and decided to buy the property. They set about the installation of modern technology, but also paid much attention to the restoration of the old buildings, from the half-timbering to the garrets of the Baroque roofs. The traditional carpentry was left in the capable hands of the foreman Klaus Etzold. The outbuildings are now used to house surveying vehicles. The old horse stables now accommodate the workstations where images are calculated. The cowshed is now a conference room, and where the pigsty once stood, there are now changing rooms in its place. Where hay and straw were once stored, there are now computers, linked together with fibre optic cables. This room may well have been the landlord's office, where the harvest was estimated, the wages paid, and contracts signed. As in those days, the first topic for discussion in this room nowadays is the weather, but now it's the flying weather. Business partners visit the headquarters in Groich for the first time. They explain to the engineers which data, images, and results they need. The specialists then make a plan of action. Engineering graduate Andreas Vogt has been with the company since its inauguration in 1990. Some members of the ILV team have already been working together for as long as 20 years. They know each other from their work in the brown coal industry. The members of the Youth Research Project of 1985 have formed a closely knit unit through their common interest. Beatrix Wagner is responsible for planning flights. A chip stores precisely which coordinates should be photographed and from which angle. Navigation is aided by satellite tracking. Plane and pilot teams are organized, all the necessary permits obtained, and the wait for good flying weather begins. The reels of film are stored in yellow cases. There is room for 570 exposures on a reel of black and white film, which measures 152 meters in length. Color film allows a total of 500 exposures on a 135 meter reel. The ILV plane takes off from Altenburg Airport. It is more or less a flying laboratory. The pilots and camera crew have little time for the breathtaking view. The displays in the cockpit and in front of the camera crew show the coordinates to be photographed and the camera resolution. Several takes are made of every object. These overlap each other at least by half. This is needed later to construct three-dimensional models of the terrain. Only at this stage can the evaluation of photographed images begin. The data from the flight plan helps to establish the correct order of the pictures. Every exposure is numbered, and the coordinates of the camera resolution are stored along with information from a kind of digital spirit level, which is exact to 1,000th of a degree, because sometimes a plane doesn't always keep a level position. In the darkroom, the films are developed and soaked. The principle is the same as traditional developing of films, only here, however, mechanical help is used. For the digital evaluation of the images, the photographs need to be scanned. Another scanner can process whole reels of film. Aerotriangulation is the process of tessellating the overlapping images. A homogeneous landscape in the form of digital numerical columns can then be made from a collage of individual images. The Dicomat machine is used to generate three-dimensional models which are exact to the centimeter. In the FODIS computer system, the images which are to be calculated can be moved at the click of a mouse button. When a selection of the topographic features is complete, the photos become intelligent with the aid of a legend. Altitude models are then created true to the natural profile of the terrain, and the photos taken in the air are then projected onto this model. Experts call these orthophotos. Now the photos offer information for town planning, urban mapping, greenbelt planning, and water and drainage systems, which is correct to the centimeter. These models can be manipulated with the aid of special software. For example, to show a sudden rise of the water level in a river, and thus the risk of flooding. Street and town maps can be created true to the original environment. Aerial photos are transformed into geoinformation systems. A bird's eye view allows the representation of objects with the precision of a few meters in the case of satellite images and a few centimeters in the case of aerial photographs. Civil engineering projects, pipelines, cables on the ground can be measured and precisely documented with the aid of a tachymeter. Where 4x4s fear to tread, that is where a boat comes in handy. The base station of the satellite navigation system, GPS, is situated on the shore and sends signals which are received by the GPS rover system and the computer on the boat. Depth and silt layers are measured by sonar equipment connected to a GPS antenna. Our landscape is constantly changing. For decades, the area to the south of Leipzig was mined for brown coal. The disused mines are now being refilled, a restoration project which will take decades. Masses of earth are being moved, streets are being built, lakes are being sculpted, all of which requires a constant flow of new information. In 1994, the mining machines left the area and nature made a comeback. In 2001, there is already talk of the so-called Leipzig Lake District. The foundation for a planned motorway is also well underway. ILV deliver photographs complete with coordinates and image data stored in digital format. For months, the landscape of Nigeria has brightened the computer screens in Groich. Both the surveying agencies of Harold and David Spradley from Houston, Texas, and Akankpo Anium from Nigeria's Cross River State have called upon the services of ILV for aerial surveying and image processing. The landscape in Cross River State comprises rainforest, desert, rivers, and mountains, as well as farmland. The terrain is approximately the same size as the three German states of Saxony, Saxony-Anhalt, and Thuringia. Donald Duke, the governor of Cross River State, found the company who would provide him with the necessary data for maps of towns and country in the Saxonian town of Groich. Once a year, there is a serious shortage of chairs at the estate in Groich when they invite their customers and business associates to their annual meeting, this year entitled Remote Sensing, Photogrammetry and Geoinformation Systems. Findings are discussed, new technologies presented, long-term contracts and scientific projects announced. All of the above have at least one thing in common. In one way or another, ILV has been instrumental in their development and implementation. The meeting place is the estate's renovated ribbed vault. Particularly interesting was the speech by ILV's special guest, Akankpo Dianium, who flew in from Nigeria to talk about his collaborative efforts with ILV in the flying and mapping of Nigeria's Cross River State. Beatrix Wagner delivered an exciting report about their work in Nigeria, accompanied by images of the country and its people. Professor Karl-Heinz Marek has been involved in remote sensing for 25 years and was an important figure in space research in the GDR. He works together with ILV as a scientific advisor. Professor Hartmut Siemann of the Anhalt-Dessau University of Applied Science has researched the utility of high-resolution remote sensing data for topographic purposes in the construction of maps. The calculation of the ICONOS satellite data for the Dessau area showed that the geometric precision for the calculation of a new map at a scale of 1 to 10,000 is adequate. However, topographic elements such as a river and a bridge were unrecognizable, proving that satellite images are not yet suitable for the generation of topographic maps. ILV uses software developed by Dr. Klaus Voigt to compress their photographs and transform them into 3D models and to store them to CD-ROM. With the aid of stereo glasses, guests viewed representations of mining deposits generated with VMAP software. Bernd Stefan Tiens, responsible for the renovation of Leipzig's disused mines, and a mine surveyor, Marco Schade, explained the geoinformation system used in the restoration of the Kospuden mine. The recultivation and landscaping of this nature reserve was largely due to the miners themselves, something which is often forgotten today. After the coal mining ceased, ILV used sonar equipment to define the underwater topography of the Kospuden lake and document any changes. Engineering graduate Gerhard Lauenroth from SAIS Intergraph presented new aerial photography systems and digital camera systems. Engineer Frank Skorbel from HGN, Hydrogeology Nordhausen, who have branches all over Germany, gave a report about the river border in the Harz Mountains, which is from time to time prone to flooding. Well, he has his own idea of remote sensing. The lion hunter Fritz Bernhardi from the play Pension Scholler delivers a speech which is not to be taken so seriously. After a day's work, the farmhands enjoy a hearty feast. Barbecued pork, salad from the buffet, draft beer, and music in traditional folklore style. Berlin is just one big building site. Every day new scaffolding appears, diversions and holes in the ground spring up from nowhere. This means new documentation, new aerial photography, and that means new maps. ILV has just opened its new branch, ILV Remote Sensing, in Teltow, between Potsdam and Berlin. Situated on the Teltow Canal, near Kleinmachnow and Zehlendorf, it is not far from the central airports of Berlin. ILV goes where the work is. Maybe soon there'll be an office in Africa or maybe America. Get a clear overview with ILV and ILV Remote Sensing. An overview on land, in water and in the air.